Anderson Silva dominated the UFC for 2,457 days.
This is a true story.
Anderson Silva broke the record for most consecutive wins in the UFC.
He made the top guys in the world look easy.
For a handful of years, no one could come close to him.
He broke the record for most consecutive title defenses.
People love finishes, and Anderson could always provide a finish at any moment.
Nobody can do what this guy can do. He's the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world.
And he had achieved that against some of the best fighters in the world.
Got us thinking he wasn't even human.
He's the greatest of all time.
No one was like even close. No one.
I think he's the greatest in any combat.
Until one leg kick ended everything. Here's how the greatest of all time became just another knockout highlight.
Anderson. Looking to finish it. It is all over.
Gotta respect the game, man. None of us are invincible.
October 2006, UFC 64. Anderson Silva steps into the octagon against Rich Franklin, the defending champion. In less than 3 minutes, Franklin is folded under a barrage of knees. The belt changes hands, but something bigger changes that night. The UFC has a new myth. From there, Silva didn't just defend his title. He rewrote the rule book. 10 straight defenses, 2,457 days as champion, the longest reign in UFC history. He jumped weight classes, toyed with former champions like Anderson Silva wasn't fighting, he was painting. MMA was supposed to be chaos, but he turned it into elegance. Between 2006 and 2012, across a 16-fight win streak, Silva absorbed fewer strikes than he landed in nearly every fight. In a sport designed for blood, he barely bled. To fans, it felt like he wasn't human. To opponents, it felt cruel. Silva taunted, danced, dropped his hands, invited punishment, and somehow always escaped it. He made the octagon look like a stage, and his opponents like props. But when the world calls you untouchable long enough, the danger isn't outside the cage, it's inside your own head. And Silva's myth of invincibility was about to crack, not from an opponent, but from his own arrogance. 2009, UFC 126. Anderson Silva drops his hands, taunts Forrest Griffin, and knocks him out moving backwards. Fans aren't just watching a champion, they're watching a man who looks untouchable.
145. Look at Silva. I mean, that's just amazing. And again,
He's out.
Anderson Silva has knocked out Boris Griffin.
He humiliated legends. Belfort folded from a single front kick. Joe Rogan declared him the best martial artist alive. Fans believed him. Fighters dreaded him. Silva danced, insulted, and fought with his hands down, mocking opponents. The more reckless he looked, the more invincible he became. By the end of 2012, Silva hadn't just won 16 straight fights. He made world-class fighters look like sparring partners. Between 2006 and 2012, Silva's significant strike differential was so absurd that some analysts joked he was playing a different sport. Opponents landed clean only when Silva let them. But here's the paradox. When the world calls you invincible, you start believing it. And arrogance in the cage doesn't just make you vulnerable, it makes you a target. The man who humiliated everyone was about to humiliate himself. July 2013, UFC 162. Chris Weidman, a 9-0 underdog, walks into Silva's kingdom. Fans expect another humiliation, another highlight reel. In round 2, Silva fakes wobbling, pretending he's hurt. Then, crack, a left hook lands flush. Spider falls, unconscious. For the first time in 7 years, he is human. The MMA world froze. Was this just a fluke? A bad night? Or was the aura of invincibility shattered forever? For UFC, the solution was obvious. Book the rematch. If Silva had lost himself, this was his shot at redemption. Silva had defended his belt for 2,457 days, longer than some fighters' entire careers, and all of it ended in less than 2 seconds of showboating. But the rematch didn't bring redemption. It brought one of the most gruesome moments in MMA history. December 2013, Silva vs. Weidman 2. the chance to take back the throne. A leg kick turns into one of the most gruesome injuries in sports history. The crack echoed through the arena. Silva collapses screaming. Fans gasp. Commentators can't look. The man who once seemed invincible is carried out on a stretcher. His career, and maybe his legacy, looked finished. Doctors later revealed Silva broke both his tibia and fibula in one strike. Recovery from such an injury isn't measured in months. It's measured in miracles. But bones heal. What nobody expected was that Silva's biggest wound wouldn't come from his body. It would come from a stain on his legacy. 2015. After 13 months of rehab, Anderson Silva walks back into the cage against Nick Diaz. Fans call it the miracle comeback. On screen, Silva's hand raised after beating Diaz by decision. He wins. The spider is back. The myth begins to weave again. But days later, the news drops. Silva fails a drug test for anabolic steroids. The victory is overturned. The comeback turns to ashes. Fans who once saw him as the purest martial artist now question everything. Was Silva ever clean? Or was the magic a lie? Silva tested positive for drostanolone and androstone, banned substances. It was the first failed test of his career, but the stain stuck deeper than any defeat. And even as the scandal burned, time was catching up. The spider's web was thinning. Younger lions were waiting. 2016, Silva loses a razor-close fight to Michael Bisping. Later that year, he takes a short-notice fight with Daniel Cormier. Brave, yes. Successful, no. He was still Silva. Flashes of brilliance, but no longer invincible. By 2019, the torch was passed. Silva fought Israel Adesanya, the man who grew up idolizing him. Student versus master. It wasn't violent. It was respectful. But watching Adesanya outclass Silva was like watching time itself win. The spider wasn't feared anymore. He was honored, then defeated. Adesanya admitted in interviews he cried backstage after fighting Silva, calling it the greatest moment of his career. For Silva, it was the most bittersweet. But time doesn't just beat legends once. It drags them down, fight after fight, until even their exits are painful. 2019 to 2020, Silva faces Jared Cannonier and Uriah Hall. Once, these would have been easy prey. Now, Silva is the one getting knocked out. Silva's UFC record after Weidman 1-1 win, 7 losses, 1 no contest, a collapse almost unmatched in MMA history. But numbers don't tell the whole story. Silva's fall raises the biggest question of all. Does decline erase greatness or reveal it? Silva's legacy isn't just about wins and losses. It's about transformation. He made MMA look like art. Israel Adesanya calls Silva his greatest inspiration. Fans still rewatch those highlights like scripture. For nearly a decade, Silva showed the world beauty inside violence. The failed drug test, the broken leg, the knockouts. They didn't erase the spider. They humanized him. And in that humanity, the legacy endures. Even after his UFC decline, Silva reinvented himself in boxing, beating Julio Cesar Chavez during 2021 at age 46. The web still wasn't gone. Silva was supposed to be immortal until the cage broke him. Years later, the man who replaced him as king would fall just as hard. Israel Adesanya would one day taste the same humiliation. His shocking downfall is the next story.